Hi, everyone. This is Julie Roth-Novak. I'm the CEO and co-founder of PartySlate. I am very excited today to be with Pamela Rothbard, our global editor. I just gave you a new title, Pamela.
I love it. Promotion to woman.
Pamela and I have known each other a long time. How long have you been at PartySlate, Pamela?
Just under 3 years.
Just under 3 years, and she is not only an incredible writer, many of you probably have seen her letter from the editor, but she's also just a great team member and a great manager. So Pamela, I am excited to talk to everyone today with you, really walking through how to get published, not only during this crazy time that we live in during COVID-19, but how to think through an overall PR strategy and how to shift your storytelling during this challenging time that we are all in. So I'm excited to walk through from the beginning PR strategy, and then we're going to go right into strategies for thinking about COVID-19. Pamela, anything before I get started?
No, I think you've got it. I think we're just excited to share some strategies for all of you to get published, but also how you might shift your tone during this time to increase the number of acceptances that you get and the number of times you're featured.
Awesome. Okay, so I got my chat going. I see many friends joining the webinar. I can't tell you how much it means to us that you guys make the time to join these. Last week we had a little snafu. I think we took down the internet with our conversation with Mindy Weiss. I apologize for those of you who were not able to join. We did have a recording of our Insta Live. We switched to Zoom webinar and I could not be happier. So I am confident we're not going to have any technical issues. So at that, we've got a room full of people. I'm going to get started. So before I go through the agenda for today, I want to do a little context setting on kind of a holistic PR and content marketing plan. Many of you know today's conversation is really going to be about what we call earned media. Earned media is really kind of what you think about from a traditional perspective of you pitch a story, you get published, you're not paying for that media, but it is kind of a marketing tool to build your brand and hopefully drive leads and new clients. In the context of the overall media platform, there's really 4 areas. There's earned media, which is really PR. There's shared media, which is amplifying your messaging through social media. There's owned media, that's really your website, your blog, your PartySlate profile, things that you control, your profile pages on Instagram, etc. And then there's paid media. And where it gets a little complicated is sometimes these 4 areas overlap. For example, influencers, which some consider PR and some social media, actually in many cases can be paid media as well. So I think today I'm going to put in context these 4 areas, but I'm really going to focus on the earned media section, which is where you have a story you're pitching to tell, and you're going to the right publications to get covered, and what's the best way to do that in a timely and efficient manner. Okay, so today we're going to talk about how to get published and why it helps your business, selecting the right events and topics to pitch, making your list of target publications, which is really important because not all publications are equal, and then 3 steps to getting published, especially considering kind of COVID-19 considerations. And then Pamela is going to join me in this section and talk about what we're doing at PartySlate and other ideas to, again, continue to build your brand. And I will say as a side note, many people have told me, hey, I feel uncomfortable. It's such a hard time. You know, I'm doing all these great things. You know, should I be pitching it? And I have to tell you, like, we are in an industry of hurt right now, and people want to cover great stories. And so you should not hold back. If you have a story to tell, you should be pitching bloggers and press and PartySlate that you have a story to tell that's timely and relevant. This is a time to build your brand and to show all the amazing things you're doing that are timely. And so I hope that people at the end of this call will be inspired to really take a look at yourself and your brand and your business and what stories you have to tell that could be interesting. And then finally, you know, half the battle is getting the press coverage, but the most important thing is actually making a big deal and promoting and showcasing that coverage. This is all about content marketing. When you have content, it's really important to share that and to publicize that you were covered. And again, some people don't feel comfortable doing that. And I say, you kind of have to get over it. You need to share that people are writing about you. And I mean, we like to joke that we can sometimes make news out of I don't want to say nothing, but you know, the mayor had a press release here at a press conference in Chicago. We were one of 12 companies invited to be featured. It was a great event, but we wrote a little article about it. And everyone's, congrats, Julie. You can make news out of news. And that's really important. So the first thing I want to say is getting published does take some work and does take strategy. So why it's important to get published is, number one, it builds your brand awareness, your reputation, your authority. That is critical part. You know, a lot of times you get lead generation, people finding you. Yes, it's word of mouth, but they might also have read about you or someone referred them to an article you were in. Number two, for obvious reasons, qualified lead generation. I remember when I was at the digital agency business at Razorfish, one of my biggest clients, new clients read about us in Cranes, and that's how we got that client. They read about it. It always stuck with me. Like, that was $1 million client. They read about us at Cranes. They reached out, and we got that new business. Really important for speaking engagements. If you want to be on the speaking engagement circuit, it's important that you're published and that you're talked about. Another thing I'll mention, I think this is underestimated. Clients, not all clients, I would say 90% of clients actually like to be published. So we write an article like the top galas in New York and Chicago, and I know Kehoe Designs and other decor companies have said, my clients love being written about on PartySlate. And you know, they're doing all this mission critical work for cancer research or other charities. They love being written about. So again, don't underestimate that piece. Also, I said it before, this is content creation. I know all of us are like, what should I post about? I can't just do the same thing over and over. You want to share a combination of inspiration, of news, of things that publicize your client, but also promote yourselves. When you are published, when we get published in on our, Forbes, or again, hopefully one day the New York Times, not yet, we want to tell people that we're written about. And finally, for those of you who joined my geeky SEO webinar, was that last week? I can't even keep 2 weeks ago. I can't even keep my mind straight. 2 weeks ago, backlinks from high authority websites are really great for SEO authority. So that's kind of the summary of, I think most of you know this, but I wanted to emphasize there's more than one reason you want to get published. On the backlinks front, again, for those of you who didn't join my SEO talk, Google is looking for indicators that it is quality content that's on that page. A link back from PartySlate, a link back from large scale publications is an indicator, because we have high domain authority, that this is quality content. The old days of trying to fool Google, like all these links from other pages that may not even be that highly trafficked, Google doesn't look at that as something that's authoritative. They're looking for, if you get a link from CNN, again, I'd love to say PartySlate's in the same category, but if you get a link from a major news periodical, you are going to get more search authority. So the next area is, it's not just enough to kind of shoot off, hey, I want to submit this, I want to submit that. You really have to pick the right events and topics to pitch. And so this is where some critical thinking time, after you're done with your Netflix binging, put an hour in your calendar and think through, what do I want to be known for? What kind of clients do I want to build? What do I want to be an authority on? I know there's many people that are rolling out kind of these mini matrimony or micro weddings, and being an authority on those topics are really what the press is looking for. You want to think about what type of clients do you want to attract? What event partners are you, if you've worked with high profile event partners that can help you get published because they have connections at these publications. And then the most important thing is, what is your hook? What is unique, different, or memorable about an event that would make them want to write about it? And I also think many people don't think about this, but in today's world, especially for digital publications, they're always thinking about search engine optimization. So what are topics or SEO keywords that you want to rank for that may also be great for that publication to rank for? And then also, I know it's obvious, if you have a high profile client that will allow you to talk about them, even if it's a high profile company like Snapchat was using PartySlate to find a venue, if you could get a Snapchat to talk about an event, those are the type of events publications want to write about. And then the last thing I'll say, and many people ask me this question, is, how do you get permission from clients to use these events, or do you have permission? Many clients will start off by saying no, but you would be really surprised that 6 months or a year later, if you go back and say, hey, I just want to pitch these decor photos or a special element, they are many times open to actually letting you use decor only photos, maybe not people photos. But again, I do think that is the exception rather than the rule. And especially from the bride and groom perspective, many people have, 200 Instagram photographers. People are they're photographing their whole wedding real time. They're live streaming. They are open to getting published more than you may think. Okay, and Pamela, if I forget anything, please jump in. We're all in a kind of a fog right now. So the next thing is you want to make your target list of publications, and I put in parentheses reporters as well. So I like to pitch some of these venture capital kind of techie publications about PartySlate because it's good for our venture capital investors to be top of mind. And you don't only want to look at, I want to be in TechCrunch, you look at what are the reporters that cover Chicago? Who are the reporters that cover the type of company that marketplaces like PartySlate is? So you want to, and again, some of these blogs are not going to have huge teams of reporters. This might be more difficult, but you want to know who those people are. And to be honest, do a little stalking. I mean, I stalk these reporters on LinkedIn and social media, and I find out who they are, and you can make a targeted list, not stalking in a scary way.
You're making me a little bit nervous.
Maybe people start stalking you, Pamela. So first you want to think about the types of publication. Print or digital. I think the writing is on the wall that there's a massive decline in print advertising revenue, which leads to closing of print magazines. And so the move is, again, this is not a surprise to everyone. Of course, PartySlate is digital. Yes, we know that, but there will be some print winners. Would I love to get in the print edition of Vogue? I would love to get into the print edition of Vogue. It is about a 1 in 100,000 chance of doing that. But if you can get in there, that's great. But just know that the digital publications are the ones that are on the rise, and the print publications are struggling. So this is not anything you guys see at front hand. Martha Stewart stopping in the quarterly. I think brides.com is not having print. So those are something that you need to know about. You also want to know, is it mass market or luxury? We focus more on the kind of top 5-10% of the market. That's what our target audience is. But again, some are looking for volume, and those are very good as well. You want to know wedding only. If you do corporate work, you want to pitch publications that cover corporate, or that at least your corporate planners are reading. And then lifestyle publications are also great. You also want to know, do they require exclusivity? We at PartySlate don't believe in the concept of exclusivity, especially because the cat's out of the bag. Any high profile event is highly photographed and on social media. And so we believe that exclusivity is kind of an old school thought, kind of like the print old school thinking, but you should know if they require exclusivity. And then you also need to know what content, what they require, and we're going to talk about that later. Also, marketing considerations, local or national reach, what is the domain authority or for SEO? And then an easy way is just to look at their social media to see, do you think this will be a fit for you? I don't know, Pamela, if you want to add anything to this one.
No, I think you got this one.
Okay, great. So now I'm going to move into the 3 steps for getting published. And then also the COVID-19 considerations. So this is a really crazy time. I said before, I've gone through September 11th, I've gone through a financial crisis, 2008, but never in my wildest dream have I imagined a social distancing type environment that we're living in, where so many small businesses are really struggling with keeping afloat and health issues. It's a very, very tough time. But I will tell you that reporters and publications are looking for news. People are online. They want to be relevant. They want to increase their traffic. And so now is the time to pitch your stories because people are looking to cover interesting stories and, again, build their own domain and put a spotlight on things that are interesting. So the 3 things, number 1, you have to understand what reporters are looking for, what the editors are looking for. Number two, you have to create well-written and thoughtful submissions. And number three, you need to make it easy for them to feature you. And so I'm going to talk about these three areas. This is a great overview of what editors are looking for. They're looking for trend pieces. You always want to be relevant. You know, PartySlate wants to be an authority on event. We want to be the Vogue of event design and really put a spotlight on the incredible creative work that you do. And we think it is very similar to fashion, all the trends that are coming up. We want to be at the forefront. Although we are not event designers ourselves, we put a spotlight on our community and what is happening all over the world. Timely topics. I know this is, again, an obvious statement that reporters are looking to tell stories that will inspire people, that will put a spotlight on heroes. This is a very important thing, but you can also think about other timely topics like the time of the year, the seasons, etc. Unique elements. So for example, on PartySlate, it could be wedding arches, aisles, it could be, red carpet entrances, whatever those unique elements are, we're looking to share that story. Advice is also another one. People are like, what are the questions I should ask when I pick out a venue? So we're always trying to pepper in trends and advice and other things. That is a great way to drive target consumers to your platform, or to your website in your case. High profile clients, social friendly photos. If you have like a rock star photo, even on your own Instagram, that's really gone viral, or you've had a lot of engagement, that might be a clue to you that that is a photo you could submit for an article because you had such a high engagement rate with that. And I would also make sure the people you're pitching, they know that this photo has almost already been tested as very social media friendly. Also high volume SEO topics. And again, I hate to sound so scientific, but this is the real world about what all publications are facing is they want to write thought leadership. They want to write great content, but they also have to consider, how do I get people to that content? So we do have some paid media that we do, but SEO is core to PartySlate, and we're an SEO machine. So we're always looking for not necessarily just high volume SEO, but long tail SEO that would appeal to our target consumer, whether it's corporate, wedding, gala, mitzvah, etc. Finally, roundup ideas, news, events, and announcements. These are all things that Pamela and our editorial team are always kind of balancing between. And again, you could pitch an article on any one of those. In fact, I've often pitched roundup stories to TechCrunch and other people like, hey, there's 3 event companies, platforms in Chicago that are taking different angles at this event space. How about a roundup article? So reporters are looking for ideas, and you could come to them with those ideas.
I'm going to break in for a second and just say back to that last slide, when we're looking at the types of things you can pitch, positioning yourself as an expert and your ability to speak on a topic. I mean, I get to see by virtue of all of your images of your events what you're up to and what the trends are, but you guys are on the ground and can speak to it. And I love to include quotes from you and your new ideas. I'm going to put David Pressman on the spot because I see that he's on here. But an example is CBD and cannabis at events. He mentioned that he was doing a wedding that included cannabis in all of these different elements and ways, and pitched that, and it became a standalone story about an event that he did, and we quoted him within other articles we did on the topic. So the more that you let us know what you're up to, that's a little bit different, the more we can figure out, even if we don't have a standing piece that we're looking for content for that, if it's interesting and compelling enough, we can do something totally new about it.
Yeah, and I think, one of our premium members, Wolfgang Puck, had this incredible, I think it was vegan, right? Vegan, or 70% vegan, vegetarian menu for the Oscars. And again, everyone always likes to read about the Oscars. So we put together this great article. I guess I should say not we, Pamela and her team put together this amazing article about the menu and a behind the scenes view. And that did really well on social media, and really raising the awareness that Wolfgang Puck was behind this incredible event and was really innovating. And a lot of celebrities spoke about the menu and appreciated the menu. And it was just, again, very real, high profile. And then we worked with Amy Katz to cover, the concept of this virtual bar mitzvah service, or bat mitzvah service. Was it bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah? I can't see it. Bat mitzvah. It was so well done. And again, the celebration was postponed, but the service actually happened. And just to see the grandparents all dressed up and like, oh my God, it was amazing. So Pamela and her team of writers do an amazing job capturing the essence of why this story needs to be told, and write it in a way that's really compelling to our audience. So for timely topics, you should think about seasonal write-ups, whether it's winter weddings or corporate holiday parties, what's coming up, what types of holidays are important to that publication that they've written about in the past, big events in pop culture. So there's always amazing parties happening around South by Southwest and other big corporate events where there's the evening events that have a lot of sponsors. And then, really understand a publication's editorial calendar. And we're going to get much better at working ahead and communicating what articles are coming so people can have more time to submit for that. But as far as current events for COVID-19, we've really shifted how we think about communicating with our community, with our consumers. And our advice to all of you, many of you are already doing this, and I'm so inspired by how quickly you shifted your businesses. You have so many great stories to tell, but things to pitch to the media, and many of you are going to already have, is what your company has done to pivot to helping during this difficult time. So I know we did this amazing article with Joanne Grigoli about making masks. I know the Seldons are doing meal delivery in New York to the front lines. I mean, these are stories that the press will want to cover. And again, I know you're not doing it to get the press coverage, and that's not at all what this is about. But if you are doing great things that could inspire people, that could make people smile, that could make people think differently, potentially about your business, now is the time to do that. Also, people are trying to desperately think what events might look like after we can, social distancing ends. I know none of us know the answer to that, and we had a great conversation with Mindy Weiss, but people are looking for perspective, new products and new ways of reaching people that are homebound. Also, doing things like this. I really appreciate our marketing team and everyone else who's helped put these digital education events. We came together and said, what can we do to help this industry in pain, to build their business while they're not working in their business? And the biggest thing we felt we could do is, number one, put a spotlight on the heroic efforts that you're doing, but number two, share all of this digital knowledge to help make your business stronger. So when we come out of this, again, we'll all be stronger for it. And then also, social campaigns. I really love Ed Libby's Dreamers Always Dream. You're homebound. Many people are by themselves, creating these beautiful tablescapes with things you have at home to create and to inspire. And this has really gone viral. And I again, BizBash picked up an article about this. Again, he didn't do it to get the media coverage, but he got the media coverage. I know I've been sharing a lot of these. It's just, people want to be inspired right now.
Julie, I'm going to break in real quick with a question.
Yes.
Someone's asking about, when you're pitching the articles, are you pitching them to from a consumer standpoint or pro to pro?
I think that's a good question. So I think there's both. So there's the pitch on how you can help your business, and you have thought leadership and you have business advice, and it's, hey, we're in this together. And so that's more business to business kind of industry news. And I think everyone on this call or the Zoom will agree, we do all sell to each other. So that is equally as important to build your brand with other event professionals as it is with your end consumers. But the how-tos and the considerations for postponing and the how to get through, balancing the needs, thinking about your contracts, I mean, those are more helpful and educational content for your consumers. So I think we at PartySlate are doing both. 50% of our content and focus has been on supporting the industry, but the other 50% is building the brands and helping consumers that are, again, I call them consumers, party hosts. We have 3 PartySlate brides that have tears. And again, we see it firsthand. This is not just changing the date. This is changing a year of planning and emotion, and the stock market's down, and what are we going to do? And it's a very, very emotional time. So any way we can help or have content that you can provide to help these consumers or party hosts, we want to do as well. So I'd say for us, it's a 50-50 mix. And I think the same should be for you as event professionals. So some of the things we're doing, and again, Pamela, you're much closer to this, but I so appreciate the entire marketing and editorial team really shifting our content and editorial calendar overnight. Is we are spotlighting people in the industry that are helping the front lines. I talked about Joanne and the masks and everything else. And then we are also, again, having conversations with thought leaders about what events may look like when we come back. I think, again, we're consumer focused, but even I keep asking people, we don't know what's going to happen. It makes me feel better just to talk about the options. It almost lowers anxiety level just to talk about this is potentially how things could come back again. New products, innovation, these amazing caterers and restaurants that have shifted into home delivery for people like me that I wouldn't say I'm the best cook, so I'm pretty bad in the kitchen. I mean, we've been doing delivery from these amazing restaurants, and we know we're supporting small business, and I feel good about it. And I'll be honest, I don't want to cook every night. So I think these are amazing stories that we can tell. And then also the Zooms and the Instagram lives, there's so much out there. I think you have to pick and choose what makes sense, because otherwise you could be in a Zoom all day long. But pick and choose what makes sense to get your message out there, to join panels. We're going to be doing, with our premium members, we're going to be doing interviews on how they're adjusting to this new time, and actually record those interviews. And that can be a great video you use for content marketing. So there's a lot of creative ideas that we can be doing, even though we're not together, to get your content out there and to get your story told. We also had this social campaign called Celebrate Soon. Pamela, you can probably talk a little bit more to it, but we are trying to be optimistic that it is going to come back. We will always celebrate together. I hope it's not with masks on, but we will do whatever we need to do to have human connection and to celebrate life's milestones. And I think corporate will take a little longer to come back, but they will come back. They will come back, and we want to put a spotlight on what you're excited to celebrate soon. Or even an event you had in the past, like all our amazing launch party partners. We're putting a spotlight back on those amazing events and those partners and saying we will celebrate soon again.
I'm just going to add on to that with the Celebrate Soon, we're talking about how to get published in editorial, but this is another way of being featured. So if you're posting events and you're tagging them with Celebrate Soon, we're going through and selecting some to reshare on our social, which amplifies your message and your brand that you posted it with. So it's another way of just getting a little bit of attention on your brand.
And a shout out to Bob Conti from Ed Libby Events. He said, thanks for talking about the dreamers always dream. I will say, Bob, I haven't yet put my tablescape out there, because remember, I'm an SEO and digital marketing geek, and you guys are all these amazing event designers. I'm like, I don't even have china in my house that looks like what Colin Cowie has and everyone else. But I did tell my daughter, Jordan, who wants to be a designer, that we are going to do a tablescape together, and I will hashtag dreamers always dream. It won't be as good, but it will be good for me. It'll be good for me. And then I also wanted to say, Pamela, I know this article, oops, I came back. This article, I can't link to it. This article came out today. I'll send you guys the link after. That I just love this article that you guys wrote on meals that you would only usually get to try to black tie events. So 7 New York caterers. We know how hard New York has been hit, that are offering these at-home meals. I just love that, because I think all of us are in such a mind state now that we do need some joy. We do want to celebrate. We don't want to just have pasta every night. And we're helping these caterers that are struggling right now. And it's also just a feel-good article. So that was published today in our best of.
Right. I think I just want to circle back quickly to the question of like, who are you pitching to? Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
About who you're pitching to.
Yes.
Whoever it is, like PartySlate has content for both pros and party hosts, but it depends on the publication you're pitching to. And if they have both sides like PartySlate does, it's important in your pitch to be really clear. So we'll get to our submission form, and when you're able to give a description, you want to say if this is content meant for the event community or meant for hosts.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so can you hear me again? I lost you for a second. The other thing I want to show you is it is important to have a well-written and thoughtful submission. We get some submissions, I'll be honest, they're kind of thrown together like, this is an amazing event, and then they send us like a Dropbox. Really, you want to think about what's creative or unique about either the event or the topic you're pitching. What's the standout element? What's the trend you've identified? Is there a seasonal color? Is there a design palette? Or is there something that you have an expertise? And when I say micro topics, the more kind of specific the topic, again, I hate to go back to SEO over and over again, but the more chance you're going to break through on SEO, and the better chance that that specific party host will be looking for something like that. And we love writing about what I call kind of more of those long tail trends. And so I put, earn an A+ on your submission. I know we have a competitive industry here. Think through what can you do that's unique or different in your submission to really stand out. So you have to follow the process. Every publisher has something a little different, but you also have to have creativity. And again, maybe because I have a sales background, don't just submit it and like, oh, let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to jump in real quick.
We will. Can you guys hear me?
You froze for just a second.
Okay, sorry. I was just saying, be assertive with your submission, and maybe that's more my background in enterprise sales. Like, don't just submit it and be like, oh, that's it. Like, I hope I get covered. I would go on Instagram. I would go on LinkedIn. I would do a little stalking. Make yourself known. And I know many of you guys on this call are great at making yourself known. And so do that when you're also submitting your work. Anything you want to add?
I'm going to break in and just say, I think it's really exciting to hear all of these little details that really make an event personal or add a twist on an event. So just like a couple of examples, Ryan Hill, who I think is on here from Apotheosis, did an event surrounding Hamilton a couple years ago, and we wrote about it a couple years ago. And one of the things that caught me was the fact that everyone thought the event was over. They went outside for the fireworks, which would usually signal the end of an evening. And then as the firework music died down, sound came from inside, and guests rushed back in to find, Questlove DJing, and now it's a dance party. So it's like those moments of surprise. When I'm just looking at an album of images, I can't infer that. Yeah. So the more, exciting details, like Paulette Wolf Events did an event, a wedding that was a military wedding, and they did the cake cutting by sword. So like those kinds of like little details are the things that can completely make it into a story.
That's great. And I think we created a PartySlate editorial submission form because we were so inundated and we want to be more organized. And we're going to send you this link if you're interested in submitting something after. It's very straightforward, simple company name. The key, and I'm going to talk about this soon, is that just put the link to the event on your PartySlate profile. Then you don't have to put all the details of who your event partners were, and we'll save you all the time. So, PartySlate, the good thing about PartySlate is it's almost like a publication engine. First, put it on your profile page. That's a win-win. You have SEO content, your profile's getting fuller. Then you could submit it to editorial. And even if it doesn't get covered in editorial, you still have a win here that this beautiful event with a great description and a great SEO optimized title is on your profile page. So when you come down here, the main thing we want to know, it's only really 3 or 4 simple questions, is, in 3 to 5 sentences, tell us what's unique, special, I can't talk, memorable, or on trend about this event or topic. So again, we tried to make it as easy as possible, but we do want help thinking through why we should publish this. So just going to the next slide, making it easy for publications to feature you. And I know, Pamela, we've talked a lot about this. You know, the photos and videos on your profile page, if it has a great mix of details, of room shots, of this, whatever trend you're trying to cover. And I always say 20 to 30 photos are plenty. If you want to put more, you're welcome to, but I think some of the events that have like 100 photos, I think you could curate that a little better. So 20 to 30 photos are fine. And of course, we're absolutely happy to help you post these, but I think it's very, very easy to add these to your profile page. And then make sure that, you know, if you can't do people shots, don't put people shots in the event. If you can have them, it does make it more interesting to show what the event looks like with people. But in many cases, you know, we feel like the hero of these photos are the design and the hard work that you've done. So we are the only publication that I know of that doesn't require people shots to get published. Pamela, you've talked about this as well. We covered this in our SEO presentation, but it's so important to put creative, descriptive event names that really evoke the style or the theme or the uniqueness of that event. So as much as Amanda and Chip's wedding was probably fabulous, it's not as descriptive as like winter-inspired New York wedding at the Plaza Hotel. And so the more descriptive you can be, you know, we have these content concierge, that's my new favorite word of the day, that actually look through PartySlate every single day, 24/7, maybe not 24/7. They're looking for these new events that come in from all over the world. And then they can use keyword searches through our system to actually identify our events that may fit the articles that Pamela and her team are looking for. So the more descriptive you can be in your titles and your descriptions, the more likely we can find it. And then also, to be honest, the better marketing content for you on your profile page. Pamela, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I can't emphasize enough the importance of having a really creative, adjective-filled title. You know, we're doing an article this week on summer wedding palettes. And so if summer is in the title of your event, then that gives us a heads up already that we should go look at the palette you used. So any keywords like that that are going to be helpful will increase your chance of getting featured.
Yeah, and again, unlike other publications, like if you're submitting to, again, Vogue or another magazine, you can submit very easily by basically a two-step process. You know, you upload it to your profile page. So again, it's a win. It's on there. SEO, your profile is getting more and more full, which is great. Also, when you credit your event partners, all of the work you've done is going to be pushed out to their profile page. So it's almost got a LinkedIn effect. And then tell the story of your event, you know, what made it unique, special, the setting, etc. And then our content concierge and our event editorial team will be reviewing and searching and looking for amazing ideas. And again, if you really want to be noticed, then you can actually proactively tell us why you think it should be published. So as an example, Paulette Wolf Events here in Chicago, they published this amazing event to their profile page called this Bold Lakefront Wedding here in Chicago. They wrote a great description. So Pamela and her team were able to see, I think you mentioned this before, all the unique elements of this event, and it actually ended up coming from their profile page into a feature article. Or I think this one might have been a roundup article, unique.
It actually featured 3 weddings, but by Paulette Wolf, that had tweaks on tradition. So it was really exciting because of all the information they had provided, we were able to spin it into a standalone.
Awesome. And then what I always say is getting in the news is just the beginning. You need to make news of the news. And so this is where, and again, I see many of you guys doing this already, but I sometimes feel people are a little shy, like, oh, I don't want to be self-promoting. Well, there actually is a way you can promote your news without being like me. So what I like to do is I thank the people that have covered PartySlate. So that specific person, you know, thank you, Crane Chicago Business, for putting a spotlight on Chicago startups, blah, 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 blah. You know, so it's not just about PartySlate. It's about putting a spotlight on the growing tech ecosystem in Chicago. And yes, it's promoting that we were covered by Cranes, which is great for venture capitalists to see and everyone else. But also it's giving a shout out to that reporter and the publication for doing a great job covering up and coming startups. And so the things you can do once you get a press hit, it can be a mention. You can make a big deal out of not even a feature article. Of course, put it on Instagram. We have badges, so featured on PartySlate. We see a lot of people doing that. Makes it look, again, it's news. It is news, but makes it look even more official. LinkedIn, anyone who joined my LinkedIn session, do not underestimate LinkedIn. There's a lot of organic reach. It's not just people looking for jobs. There are a lot of people out there, and again, a lot of organic. Facebook, your website, your blog, put it in an email newsletter. Also, there's a section on your PartySlate profile for recognitions. It's just another great way to call out that you're building authority, that you were quoted, that was in there. Also, I mentioned the PartySlate badge. It's great to put that in your website, linking back to your full portfolio on PartySlate. In many cases, we hear that your PartySlate profile is more up to date than your website. Again, that's not our goal necessarily. Our goal is a cheap, low cost, in some cases free way to publish your photos without paying a developer $10,000 to redesign your website. And then your blog and press section, if you don't have a press section, I really think you should, because I think it's great to not only have testimonials, but to have places to show where you've been featured. I know many of you have that. And then also in your email signature, if you have a feature, that's another thing that you can call out. And then this is just an example of the Chicago Botanic Gardens, a beautiful, beautiful outdoor venue. And they put, hey, thank you, PartySlate, for the timely article, blah, blah, blah. Again, they're giving a call out to PartySlate. They're linking us so that we see that they do that so we can interact with them. And then they're linking to the article, which is great. So make news when you're in the news. And I thought it would be great, and Pamela helped me put this together, to actually show the life cycle of a PartySlate, editorial, either a mention or a feature. So number one, you have this incredible trend or event you're putting on your profile page. Number two, you can submit it for a feature, and if it gets featured or if it gets a mention in a roundup, we also submit things to get covered in PR. So we've taken some of your events and actually got third-party coverage for us, and of course the link back to PartySlate. So that's one piece of the puzzle that we get very excited about. And then that editorial feature shows up in our newsletter, in social media, in our best of section as an article, which is SEO optimized. That's why we put Google there. And then it's pushed out again to all the social media channels. For us, Instagram's clearly number one. Facebook and Pinterest are kind of tied for number two, but LinkedIn is up and coming. We have not found a lot of engagement on Twitter, so we don't put as much emphasis there, but we're following it. It's important for the business side of PartySlate to be on Twitter. So all of these channels are important to PartySlate. So you can see how the whole ecosystem of digital publishing is much, much more than just the article. It's actually the amplification of that news coverage across all of these channels. And so I talked at the beginning about the 4 areas of media and kind of thinking through your content strategy. So PartySlate really touches on all 4 areas. And I get this question a lot about, your coverage of paid, premium members versus free members. Really, we have about a 50-50 split. We do want to put a spotlight on our premium members. We are a business. We need to make money. So that's part of our business. But the other 50%, we have to be the authority on what is unique and special and on trend, and we are writing about a ton of things that organically come to us because we think it's going to be interesting to our consumers, our party hosts, but also, of course, to the industry. The shared media, once we have all these articles and the content, we push it out to social media. The owned media on PartySlate is really your own profile page. You control what is on your profile page. Again, if you take us up on our white glove service, we can manage it for you. We can write SEO descriptions, we can optimize it, but ultimately you decide what's on your profile page. And then the paid media side is really our premium membership, where when you have a premium membership, you're boosted, both your profile page and then also all the editorial content is boosted at a higher level to give you more exposure, just like Instagram posting.
Julie, I'm going to stop you there. Can you just talk a little bit more about how we incorporate premium members into articles?
Yes.
And what that looks like?
Yeah, so if we're doing a roundup article on space themed parties, didn't we just do one on that?
We did, yeah.
We will look first to our premium members to see if we can find the right content. That's just kind of how we work. We look their profile pages, we're doing our searches on our platform. But if we can't find enough within our 500-600 premium members, we go look at the entire ecosystem. So it's kind of a two-step process. And then there's some articles that are just all organic. It's a topic we want to write about, and whether it's premium or not, that doesn't go into consideration. And so for us, we try to do the best job possible. And again, we're a newer company, to really separate kind of sponsored content and features from kind of our pure organic editorial. But we will give, all things equal, first right of editorial to our sponsored content.
Right.
You guys, I'm on a webinar with 500 people. I knew this was going to happen. So
I just want to reiterate there that
Pamela, take over for a second.
I'm going to take over for a second. All of our content is based on what consumers, party hosts are looking for. So if we want to write about a topic, we're going to write about it whether or not our premium pros have content, but we always start there.
Yes.
We always look to see how we can be inclusive of our premium pros, and whether that means reaching out for a quote or for an extra image, we take that extra step. But then we also, as soon as we're done with that step, we start looking for other places we can include that content.
I know many of you guys are in the same situation that a lot of us are in, with kids and dogs and fighting and everything else. So, we're all doing the best we can. So I feel for everyone, especially those who have young kids, that this is not an easy time for anyone. So finally, I will wrap up with an action plan to getting published. One, really block time in your calendar to create, again, it doesn't have to be complicated, but a one-page PR plan. And your PR plan should include, what are the topics and types of events that will really help you build your business? Again, some things might be just timely, you have a high-profile client, whatever, but really think through, what are those topics that you want to be known for? What are these events that will really take your business to the next level? Number two, and I also want to emphasize, especially now, yes, everyone loves these over-the-top, incredible, beautiful events, but this could really be a smaller, more intimate event that you're calling attention to. So don't limit yourself to just those marquee, large-scale events. Number two, prioritize your media outreach and reach out to research your reporters and bloggers. That, again, don't create a list of 100, create a list of 20 to get started with that you would really love to be covered in. Number three, make sure you have your credits, your photos, and your videos organized and in a place that's easy to submit. Again, on PartySlate, we try to make it easy. It's on your profile page. All you have to do is submit the link and answer 3 questions, and you're done. You don't have to create this long list of who are your partners and how do I know who these partners are. That's already created for you. Number two is submit your work for editorial consideration. Schedule time to ensure you understand how to submit to publication. Again, we try to keep it super simple. Some have very, very complicated processes to follow, and I get it. They want to put the bar up so that you have to do a little work to submit. Provide interesting details, short quotes, almost help, to be honest, the reporter write the article. What is the story? What is the hook that you think is interesting? And then I would also say, don't overload a single editor with I'm submitting 20 things. Really pick 2 or 3 or even 1 that you want to submit and work on that first rather than the fire hose, because sometimes it can get lost. And then once you do get published, even if it's a local blog, even if it's a venue that's writing about a planner, this is your opportunity to actually make news from your news. So promote your press mentions in social media. You can even write a blog entry on your platform and actually write a little bit about, oh, we were just covered by PartySlate, blah, 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 and put a paragraph and then a link to it. LinkedIn, I know I've told many people it's really easy to create an article on LinkedIn. You could actually write an article about coverage that you've had. Again, it's all about creating content from content. That is really the core of content marketing. And then finally, encourage your partners when you get published to share the news that you're published, and that will even amplify more that this is a big deal. So I know we're running out of time and I want to take some questions, but what we are willing to do to help, we will review a sample editorial pitch, and I'm going to give you the link to our submission form. We're happy to review that and give you feedback on that. Number two, we can help you create a profile. This is not happening. Ella, I have 500 people on here. Oh my God. Okay, we will help you with your profile. Number three, we have a bunch of articles coming up, and I'm going to have Pamela, as I go on mute, talk about that.
Yeah, fantastic. So this is like a little bit of insight into what we've got coming, which we don't often give out. So I'm excited to share with you. We're going to be working on an article on surprise weddings. So anything that you're working on for future or things that you've had for the past, I'd love to get some insight and some tips on planning a surprise event like that. Corporate dinners, we'd like to look at those times when companies sit down, whether it's for employees or for consumers, that they're sitting around a table and having a meal and sharing an experience that way. Milestone birthdays, we're always doing milestone birthday content. And right now we're specifically looking for 30th birthday party themes and 70th birthday parties. Awesome. We are looking for circus and carnival themed celebrations. So this might be a corporate event, it might be a mitzvah, it could be any type of event that has this sort of theming to it. What we're looking at is the theme itself and creative ways that theme has been embodied and evoked. We're looking at creative wedding showers right now. We've noticed that search volume has gone up right at this time of year for baby showers and for wedding showers. So we want to serve up that content. And then just like our slide a few earlier, we are looking for all the angles on COVID, the good deeds, the innovation, the thought leadership around what the future of events looks like. So I'd love to hear from you on all of these topics.
Great. And we are recording all of these webinars, and they are on the landing page. That's what I look like with hair and makeup done. So all of our digital events, will send you the link to that. So we've done our 5th or 6th one. And I'm very excited about our next digital event because I've spent my whole career on websites, mainly for Fortune 500 companies, luxury brands, and now PartySlate, but 7 ways to make your website more engaging and user-friendly, ultimately to convert to new clients. Again, it takes multiple touch points, but your website is an important one. And we're going to talk about how your website, your PartySlate profile, and your Instagram can actually work together as a kind of cohesive system and platform to share your incredible work and your story. So that's what's coming up next Tuesday at 2 Central. I think we'll open it up for a few questions. So if Pamela,
I have some here ready for you.
Okay, good.
Pass your way. So what if the publication won't add a link to my website in the article? So this goes back to the SEO and the backlinks.
Yes, that does happen. So the larger the publication, sometimes the more apprehensive they are going to be to actually put that link in there, but you should ask. So we've had some situations where we had a really high profile press hit and we go back and ask them for the link and they add it. In some cases, we'll go back and ask for the link and they don't add it. Either way, even without the SEO link back consideration, it's still a brand lift and a very, very good thing to get published. So I would say probably 80% of publications will give you the link back. It's those super elite high-end ones that are not so quick to give you that link back. Again, the reason they want to keep you in their publication. Again, we are very generous with our link backs or link outs in our articles. We more times than not drive people to their profile pages, so it's still within PartySlate, and then it goes to your website. But yeah, keep trying. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay, and then lead time. on different articles or lead time for
Yeah.
reporters?
You know, print lead time is much, much longer than digital lead time. So I know we run an article and literally we have 5 days, the article's going live. And so it's very, very fast. Other times we've shared our editorial calendar like we are today, things that are coming up, and it could be a month before some of these articles get published. So I think the key is just to understand with the reporter or the publication what kind of lead time or when something is going to press, so that you know, do you need to get your submission in right away, or do you have a little time to pull it together?
And another one that I'm happy to talk to, and then you can add on, is about finding this whole process stressful and overwhelming. I'm just going to encourage you to shift your perspective a little bit and remember the feeling of pulling off a beautiful, amazing event and that excitement and channeling that joy into a submission. Like, how much fun is it to talk about all of the little details and all the things that you did that made an event so special and so spectacular? And so, you know, maybe approach it from the idea of you get to relive the really epic moments from an event by sharing those with us. So I think it can be an exciting thing to do. I know it can feel overwhelming, but putting the time on your calendar, taking it one little chunk at a time, and remembering that it should be pleasurable to talk about your work.
Yeah, and I think the key is if you have an organized system, you know where your photos are. Yeah, again, either whether in PartySlate or Dropbox, you know what stories you want to tell. Just limit yourself to like 10 publications that you're focused on, and take it from there. And just put some goals for yourself. So I want to get one press mention a month, or I want to get one a quarter, or one a week. You know, there's many very friendly press event professionals that are on this call and that we work with. I think the key is create a plan. It will be less intimidating and more actionable if you create a plan with metrics. And so for those of you who are just getting started to think about it, you know, put, you know, your annual target is 3 or 4 press mentions, and start with bloggers, start with, you know, things that are easier to get than the tier 1 press.
And we did cover this a little bit, but do you have any additional comments around choosing which images you want to submit?
As far as choosing images, I think a good indication, if an image did really well on social media, that's kind of an indication that it would be a engaging image. And again, that's how editors and reporters think these days, is social media is part of the mix. I think it's different for print, but when you're talking about digital press, they're thinking about how do I amplify this article in social media. So social media friendly images that have more than one interesting point of point of interest. So it's not just one thing, it could be 4 or 5 things that someone responds to. Very good lighting. Those are the type of things. I think you know what does well for you in social. That's a good indication. And then when you're thinking holistically about this capture of a full event, you know, what are the 20 or 30 best photos that tell the story? And then don't underestimate, photos are important, but the storytelling behind the event is really, really important as well.
Perfect. And we are right on time for ending.
Great. Well, I appreciate you guys making the time. We have a bunch of new people on the call this week. So people have asked, you know, how do I, if you don't have a PartySlate profile, very easy on PartySlate to go to 4 pros. If you're interested in our white glove service, if you're interested in a free profile page, you can inquire about membership or apply for a free PartySlate profile here. We are happy to get you started. Our goal is to really provide as much digital education, brand building education as we can during this difficult time, and really help the industry get back on its feet. We are struggling too. We are with you. I know some are more than others. Please let us know how we can help. A spotlight we can put on your business. If you need help with your photos or organization of your profile page, we will set up a call with you, a Zoom. I like my new Zooms all day long. We really want to help. So thank you guys for making the time. Pamela, as always, I'm sorry you got kicked out of the last webinar when we had our crash.
I'm disappointed.
But we really appreciate your leadership, your writing. I know I get so much feedback on your, is it quarterly or monthly letter from the editor?
Yeah.
maybe it will become monthly.
I knew you were headed that direction.
Yeah, that's my secret way of moving it from quarterly to monthly. But thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Hang in there, and please let us know how we can help. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.